So what is it, 10 a.m. over there?
It is 10 a.m. We're getting
Nice.
started with Sheila Hernandez. Okay. So this I'm excited for this one, Sheila. So this is gonna be a different style of a Zoom call. Usually
Okay.
we let someone come in and just drop some knowledge on everybody. But I don't know your story much. I think we had said hi and interact with each other. And this is gonna be more like a one-on-one scenario, right? Heshan is having a one-on-one with Sheila. And I'm ready to learn a lot from you today because I see your numbers here. So I'm gonna share with the team your numbers that I personally know about this year. So everything else that you guys can mention. So Sheila has made over $250,000 already in the business as a rookie owner. As a rookie owner, right? And she's in one of the most competitive markets. San Diego is one of the most competitive markets in the game, which means she's not just running a business, she's in a very competitive market. And also, you have some competitive ICL owners right there. You got Steven Garcia, Jake, all of you guys are like very high performers. And also, you're being a women entrepreneur, you're rising in the rankings and running circles around a lot of men right now. Right. So that's great job. So let's start with your story a little bit because I would love to hear your story as well. Let's start with your story and then I'll start hitting some questions for you.
Sweet. Thank you, hey Sean. It's nice to hear those stats. A lot of the times my head's just in it. I'm like tunnel vision and I'm just going, going, going. So to hear that it's pretty exciting. But all right, what's up? How are you guys doing? Good morning. That's everyone right there, right? Sitting down. Well, I'll get into it, hey Sean. So a little bit about my background and my story. I would say coming up in the business, I'll start with what got me really in here, and then how I kind of am where I am now. So before I started over at Sebastian's office in Orange County, I was actually in school serving and dancing. So I had a really big passion for dance. So my ultimate goal was to end up, dancing somewhere, whether that was on Broadway, whether that was for a specific artist and so on. So I was really working in the serving industry and going to school to make that happen. But honestly, I only lasted about a year before I realized that it wasn't necessarily going to take me as far as I wanted to. In the sense that if any of you guys are athletes, right, or if you've done any form of dance or anything like that, at some point your body's going to give out. So there really isn't longevity there. So long story short, I ended up finishing up school. I grew up in Fullerton, California. So if any of you guys are familiar with Cal State Fullerton, I went over there. But once I was all done with it, I didn't want to keep working in the serving industry just because I was working pretty much from like 6 p.m. all the way to 2 a.m. Just to make my bread every night. So yeah, once I finished school, I started looking for jobs. And the degree I got, not necessarily the best degree to go out and get something better than a serving position. I went to school for sociology, and dance therapy, which I can't tell you when I've used it. But I would say maybe in the field I've used sociology for sure. But anyway, so started applying. Target wouldn't take me, Starbucks wouldn't take me. Because my initial plan was to just keep teaching at dance studios, but then COVID happened and all of them were shut down. So I ended up getting in touch with Phoenix, got on the phone with one of the recruiters there, came in, and I started during the COVID era. That was really my start in the business. And I remember being really, really scared of what was going to happen next, just given the fact that even when I started with Phoenix, I worked with them like a normal week in the field. We were selling DirecTV over in Walmart, and I just remember thinking, oh, I love it here. It was great. The people were awesome. And I worked like one normal week. And then literally the next week, I got a call from Steven Garcia. Funny enough, he was training me. And he goes, hey, so we're not going to be in stores for the next month. And I was like, oh, well, how long will it go? He's like, I'm not sure. I'm like, all right. So ends up, setting up all these Zoom calls, and I'm still in touch with the business throughout the whole time. But I just remember being really upset of like, I just found something I really love and I don't necessarily know where it's gonna go. But long story short, it ended up being I don't even know how long it was at this point, but I think it was like 3 months if I remember correctly. But when we came back, we went straight into switching campaigns. So that's when we started the Target side of things, and the wireless side of things. So that was an adventure within itself. I was pioneering essentially with Steven Garcia at the time, just this new wave of selling cell phones now when I was
Before
used
you
to
get there, Sheila, I'm gonna stop you right there. So this is the
selling.
time COVID happens. You are
Yes.
still new to the business,
Yes.
and after 3 months, the stores are open,
Yes.
and you're still new, probably like few months
Still
in
no.
the business,
Yeah.
right? But you're doing EDM in
Yep.
Target, but also you're wearing a mask
Yes.
because no one wanted to pick
Nope.
without a mask. Like that's the policy. You got to wear a mask and it has to be touchless. You got to send a message to the customer and you
Yep.
can't put customers' information in. You got to maintain a 10 foot like distance, right?
Yep, people
All
were
right.
treating us like we were just completely, we weren't human. It was completely like, don't come near me, don't come anywhere close, but let me get this order processed for you. Let me interact with you. Crazy time. So yeah, hey Sean, that was during the time that I went from being super, close with people, being able to see PR like no other to I'm still at that point, I still felt like I was about a week into the business, right? Because I had all this time off. And then yeah, coming into a brand new space, brand new, 5 steps to a conversation, brand new pitch, brand new way to interact with customers, and just figuring out, how this would even go about. Because for if you've ever done internet and cable, even if you haven't, if you just haven't done something before, you don't know even to if it's going to plan out. You're just trusting that with the process, you're going to go through it. And pioneering it was definitely, I think, a lot of what I learned then has made me extremely consistent post, now getting into ownership. So started off there, did the beginning was rough. Definitely learning like how to get paid on that campaign now, all that stuff, and then how to make it and I would say just as successful as I was when I first came in for the first week, even like just getting comfortable redoing that all over again. But anyways, long story short, ended up getting it down after I would say pretty quickly. I always make the joke that I was a shooting star coming in because within my first 3 months, I was able to get over to the assistant management side of things, built up a pretty big team, solid and in the sense that we built it, we hit the numbers and the metrics. But all that to say, that's essentially how I started. But then as time went on, even though I hit assistant management within my first 3 months, it took me about 4 years to get to ownership. And the timeline, I like to point this out, is the only reason I bring it up because just because you get it done in the beginning doesn't mean it was done from a sustainability standpoint. So that's a little bit of my story as far as how I came in.
That's a good point there. So let's start from there. You said
Yeah.
3 months, you build a team, and then
Yes.
still, so you probably had some runs where you're gonna still lose people and build people. I feel
Yeah.
that that's the point that everyone should have quit. That's the quitting stage, right? Because
Yeah.
how many times if you had to remember, you had to rebuild your team,
Yeah. So did you say how many times did I have to rebuild a team?
rebuild, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would say every 6 months I had a new team within that 4 year span, right? It was a lot of grow, cut, grow, cut. And a lot of it just came down to I wasn't sticking to the systems in the beginning as much
Hmm.
as I needed to. I
So
was
you were super talented.
super talented. I mean, if coming from the serving industry, dance, like a lot of it was easy, the face to face, the relating with people, that was super easy for me. Like
People
I
just like Sheila. People just like Sheila. They
100%.
kind of.
I'm a good time. It was easy. It was easy to get along with people. But when it came to going from positional to permissional was easy. But then from there, like having people actually see me in a place of, hey, I can lead you I couldn't lead them past leadership, right? I couldn't take them really
Were
anywhere.
you like growing at this stage? Were you like reading, growing yourself, or you were just like a sales rep?
I would say honestly, hey Sean, I was doing like 40, maybe 50% of the work. So I would say I was just focused on like what could get me by day, not what could. So I wasn't necessarily developing myself. And I'll give you an example. I'd pick up a book, I'd start it, and I would never finish it. right? So it's like I would just do enough to just like, oh, this is good enough for this crew meeting today, rather than, hey, let me finish this book, let me really like get the nutrients out of it, let me take notes on it, let me apply it, and let me be a student about it. So yeah, I was being more of a rep in that sense, and I really just like to hit the metrics. And I do think it goes kind of back to school in the sense that like I finished school with the purpose of just doing something else after. I didn't finish school with the purpose of let me utilize this degrees for something more than that. So it was
It's
definitely
so
that.
funny because until you get to assistant manager, you do not realize there's no shortcut for it. You got to do the
No.
work.
Yeah, you got to do it.
How do you think that helped you right now in ownership, that part of your rebuilding phase? Do you ever
Yeah.
rebuild your office ever again, or you want to just make sure that you build it the right way?
So I would say this quote is me. I live by it. I don't rush now, I build. So it really comes down to that. It's helped me so much because from the moment I launched out, everything has been about creating such a foundation that whether I'm there or not, it continues to create its own.
Mm.
So I always preach that, and because it's something that hits home to me because I've been there where I have tried to rush every step of the way. And I didn't rush in a way that like it would interrupt my opportunity, but I just rushed in a way where everybody was a number to me at some point. Everybody was just like a stepping stone to the next thing rather than getting there together. Like figuring out what do they need, how can I help them, and be more selfless. So that's helped me out for sure. Launching out, you cannot even before launching out, I did have the opportunity to do a satellite office, which just means I was able to be essentially in the market a year before I officially promoted out. So a lot of the trial and error that I had when I first hit assistant management and had to rebuild, the same thing happened when I satellite out because now I was completely exposed. I didn't have an office to back me up, right? I didn't have other people there to really help when you got to make a decision right then and there. That's a lot of what ownership and entrepreneurship is. You got to make decisions on the fly, and you got to make sure that the decision at least leverages most things rather than not. So that's where it's really helped me out. Hey, Sean, I would say during that satellite time. And then there was just no there once you're, I would say like your back's against the wall, you have no option but then to deal with it. So I just during that satellite year, no matter how much I wasn't getting the result in the beginning, I was just sticking to I'm gonna finish the book. I'm gonna actually finish and go through. I have a week planner where I go ahead and like I put who I'm speaking to from my team. Like every day I have someone that I'm touching, whether it's I'm in the field with them, I'm calling them, I'm having lunch with them, dinner, something, and I actually would just stick to it.
Mm.
Right. A lot of the times before then it was like, yeah, I'll grab lunch with so and so. And then I'd be like, oh, I could do it next week. Right. Something so small like that. But that was when I would say it really started to switch around, and those lessons I learned, I was able to fix them, I would say, and just completely cement into them during that year, which was in 2024.
Nice, I love it. I'm gonna fast forward to your ownership journey this year.
Okay.
I feel like you're crushing it. I feel like you are. You probably don't feel like it because you're around like very high performing officers right now with Jake and Stephen Garcia right there being next to you. But being a one woman entrepreneur, that you're the only one who's actually high rolling in that level right now. Yeah. So let's talk about what do you think works for you guys in the last 4 months to get this good momentum. Is it something that you guys started doing, or you feel like it's the compound interest that you're enjoying right now?
I would say it's a mix of both because the compound interest 100% is there. With my core team, we have moments where we sit down because we meet every week, right? We have like a core meeting outside of our day-to-day core meetings in the office. But every now and then, if this happened at Top Gun, we'll laugh about the fact that about a year and a half ago today, we were hanging out in a Motel 6 game planning for the next day, right? So it is a lot of compound interest, a lot of the work that we were putting in from how do we just like leverage the field to the point where we can on like just really become the best trainers and teach other people how to do what we do, from how do we conduct the best interview and really get in alignment with our values and find the people that are looking for us. All of those things, all of the habits that we built during that time when we were so small, now it's anyone who walks through the doors in our office, it really is just a connection of I know exactly what I'm looking for. I have a certain vision, a certain message, and my core just they do as well, and they accelerate that. Right. So I would say it's that's the compounding side. But then something we did switch, instead of trying to build through the easiest way I could put this, right? When you launch out with a certain amount of people, like 4 or 5, right? And sometimes in the heat of that, you'll try to build around one or two, right? While the other people are getting cemented. And I did that in the beginning where I kind of made that mistake where I was trying to build around just one or two people and not really like feeding the rest of the team or even myself at times. I thought if I could run around and just help everyone else, then it would somehow work. But completely switch that right before the new year, like that December. I just started, just being more intentional with taking out first gens more for myself, rebuilding again, right? And being more intentional too with holding standards for all of our team builders of you don't get an interview unless we're actually, developing everyone that's coming in. So I would say that's the biggest thing that changed is just holding such a high standard now on who genuinely gets to replicate themselves within our business. So I know it's a little bit wordy, but the compound interest 100%, and then just getting really crystal clear on who is replicating in your office, right? You want to,
Let's go back to the interview. So you do
yeah,
not do interviews for someone who can't replicate or someone who
correct,
has not proven competency.
correct.
How are they gonna learn it then? How are they gonna figure it out if you never give them interviews?
They shadow me and like they shadow me with interviewing, they shadow me with training, and until they're at a place where I do a lot of the I do, you watch, we do, then you do, I watch, until we can graduate from that, then I'm ready to hand it over. Because I'll be honest, with production, it's not a question. A lot of these guys on my team that are core members or team builders or want to be, they are hitting the numbers, but the numbers isn't just the only thing to replicate, right? It's the stepping stone. It's like what gets you in the door to learn. So until they graduate and I can genuinely see a change in not just their habits, how they show up as in the office, how they show up outside of the office when they're in the field, how their time management is, all of that. I do like to go through a process where we do it together and then they go off and then they're ready to go.
Pretty good. What are your standards for your core guys? Like what is alpha? What are the numbers of your core guys?
Yeah,
Whatever it
so
is.
alpha's 1300 and then minimum standards is 900 for someone to get into leadership and start learning how to interview and get into that side. It's 1,000 back to back with great quality. And then that's
Gotcha.
the
How
caveat
many do
is
you focusing more on the new line?
what was that?
Do you have a lot of more focus on the new lines? They have to be in this certain new line range or
So yeah, 100%. Although we do the dollar amount at the end of the week when we do goals, I also do the Saturday night check-in for how many lines did we do. So yeah, it's a minimum of 15 lines.
minimum 15 lines for the core guys? Nice. Perfect. Bashila, I appreciate your one-on-one. I learned a lot for sure. I have 8 minutes for the guys to throw in any questions they have. If they don't, I still have more questions. All right, so
That's
I'm ready to open up for the guys to see if they have any questions. Raise your hand and I can
Thank you.
call your name if you do have any questions. Obviously, Olivia, the first one to go. That's my recruiter right there.
That's
Olivia, go ahead.
Hi, Sheila. It's Olivia.
Olivia.
I was just curious, what books were you reading whenever you realized, oh shit, like I really need to start developing myself and start reading like the full book? Like, what was, I guess you could say, what was your first book that you actually read
Yeah.
to make you like really tap into that?
Yes, of course. So my first one and my favorite one, I do it once a year, is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And that one for me is my holy grail because it just really taught me to put first things first. And a lot of the times I was trying to put everything else but what needed to be done right then and there. So that was my first one around just getting really consistent with my habits. And then, like I said, with putting first things first. The second book was the Tim Grover Winning. And it was more so about learning just how to really have motivation for myself every day, rather than, and really it's the discipline side, right? So that one really helped me out with that, and then also being able to drive that sense of inspiration towards my team every time I got up and spoke to them. And then the last one was How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read those within, like, I would say, like, I'd go back and forth on them. Like, I'd finish it, start the next one, finish it, start the next one. And I did that for about a year, where I would just continue to loop them. Because what I really wanted to tap into is not just having the logic, but also being able to execute it from a place of truth, right? So a lot of it was also being able to have that intensity behind it. So that's why I looped those three specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Go ahead, Remy.
So, hello, I'm Remy.
Hello.
So just a quick question for you. What are some like key things you looked at when it came down to trimming down your team and rebuilding? Like at what point did you realize, okay, this person's not for my team? What were you looking at specifically?
Specifically, I had lost grip of standards, and not just so there was the dollar amount. I had people on my team that were roller coasters. They were, one week they were doing great, one week they weren't, from the productional standpoint. And then on top of it also the culture. So once the culture and the standards started to slip and I noticed, that's when I realized, okay, well, I created some version of this. So I need to figure out where it started. And a lot of it goes back to being buddy buddy and being friends with them first, rather than being someone that could really teach them, guide them, and then be someone that they can go to if they need anything. Right. So those were the first two things that I saw, where it was as people were starting to gossip, people were starting to not get along, there was division starting to happen, and on top of it the production was starting to go down with it. So those were really obvious, like, signs for me that it was going down, and then people were quitting here and there, right? So once I was like, there were people that I said I let go of that didn't even quit, that I was just like, I can't continue to build from that foundation, because they were bringing the culture down, and ultimately they were fucking with the standard, right? So those were the main two things I would say I saw and started to work around.
Okay. What did to pivot off of that, what did a step up, step out conversation look like from your point of view?
Yeah. So I kept it really on the side of what the standards are and around the culture and the production. So I make it really simple. I was like, hey, look, this is the direction that I'm moving in. This is the direction, like, this is the goal. These are the metrics that we're looking to hit at the time. Minimum standards, I think, was like 700, alpha was 1200. So I might have said something into that degree of, like, you haven't been hitting the specific office standards for X amount of time. Now, moving forward, we're not going to be messing with that. We're going to continue to hold the standard. And if you don't hit that for 2 weeks, then you don't have, a place on the team. I'd love for you to move in the direction that we're moving. But if you don't get on board and move in the same direction, then again, we don't have a spot on the team, right? So that was how the conversation went. I kept it really simple, and leaned back on that. And I have found that always helps me out more than getting into more of the nitty gritty.
Go ahead, Papa. I see your hand.
Yes. Hello, Sheila.
Hi.
Besides reading, what other habits would you say were like cornerstones for you to flip the switch and actually like go to the next level?
Yes, so I love habit stacking. So I'll go to the gym. I don't believe in, like, days off. And I don't mean that in a way where you're just, like, brutally, like, going into the gym every day, but I like to keep my body like physically active every single day in any way. So I'll listen to podcasts while I'm at the gym. And then I've also find that just having peaceful time where I don't actually listen to anything or think of anything for at least about an hour, has really helped to just keep myself at a neutral place, to have just, like, present time to make decisions, like, outside of that hour. So those are the biggest two things. I've always just made sure that I'm physically active every day. And then specifically for the 1 hour of silence, I'll typically go to the beach, and then just hang out there. It's kind of those would be the main two.
Oh, you're blessed.
I know, it's like 5 minutes away. It's so nice.
And then just out of curiosity, not that, don't take this in a bad way, but are you married?
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm still searching for a husband.
Okay.
She's married to the business,
I
right?
am married to the business. He will come. Sure enough.
Go ahead, Tori.
Here.
What kind of goals did you set to or like what did you do? No, like what kind of goals did you set to like bring yourself to the next level?
Ooh, so I always have the bigger goal. So for the business, for me, and even outside of it, like I just try to group everything together. Like I'm not one person outside of the business. And so my entire goal is to get to the place where I can be a consultant, which to me means I can help my guys get to their goals. Right. So, and that comes from my entire, like I named my business Legato, which is just Latin for legacy. And the reason I did that is because innately in my heart, I want to be able to create a legacy for people that doesn't involve me. I don't believe like I don't want to I don't think that when time goes on, right? I don't think people will remember me and I don't want them to. I want them to remember the ability to be able to see more entrepreneurs and to see more people get to their goals. So that's ultimately what the bigger goal is for me. And then from there, I work my way backwards, right? So how can I create something so big that touches so many other people? And in order to do that, I gotta be able to help people get to their goals, right? So that's how I work around it. I don't have like a specific like, hey, by the end of the month, I need to be at this place, or by the end of the year, I need to be at this place. But I do walk with purpose every single day that I want other people to have as many, successful people around them if entrepreneurship is a way to do it, so that they could see a different lifestyle. I grew up not seeing other entrepreneurs, not seeing another way of living other than what I could see on TV. And I really just think getting into the business and seeing so much success around with other people, it really drove me to believe that I could do it. So any way that I can do that for someone else, I'll do it. So I know that's a long answer, but ultimately I focus on that big picture and then work my way backwards. So what can I do this week, this month, that'll get me closer to that bigger picture? Does that make sense?
Completely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that is 10:30, Liv. I'm gonna make sure you have Sheila's number so you can text and annoy her. All right, Sheila, I'm gonna hit you with the last question. We talk about a lot of great stuff. I think you gave us good pointers.
There you go.
I want to hit you with this last question. Not a lot of people like to answer this question, but I want to see what are some excuses that you gave yourself when you were a kind of like a senior lead assistant manager level building a team?
Oh my gosh, people don't like answering this question? That's funny.
Fun.
I have a lot of answers for that one. That's funny. Yeah. So Sebastian likes so and so better. That was a big excuse. Oh, they have a better pedigree than I do, so I probably won't get to that side of things. I'm a girl. It's hard. I can't get in front of the room and influence a group of men. They won't take me serious. That sucks. What else? Oh, at one point it was this is I'm embarrassed to say this. But at one point it was, man, like I can't build a team again. There's no way I can hit alpha again. I went through a little rut, but I'm trying to think if there was more. No, those are the main ones. I
Those are
did
good ones.
outward, a lot of
If you
outward.
allow those excuses, I don't think you're gonna make them.
Yeah, I didn't.
And you went to college for 4 years, if I'm right,
Yes.
or 4 3 years, 4 years, and you graduated. So you started the business around like 24 years old, 24,
I actually, my last year, I started around 22. I did school and the business for a little bit.
Got you.
Yeah.
So 22, you started the business, and then you got to ownership in 4 years. And most people who graduated is not going to make $1 million in 5 years after graduating, and you are pacing for probably 1.2, 1.5 this year, right? And we don't know what kind of fourth quarter you're going to have. So assuming you might be able to hit $2 million this year. So if you do so, which means you're probably in the 1% from your graduation batch. You're on the top 1%.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
I didn't start to feel anything about it until recently on Instagram. A lot of my close friends from high school or in college, they just graduated, all taking like they're posting their grad pics and all, and they're job searching. And that's when I was just like, okay, I feel pretty badass in going through the suck and just sticking to the freaking plan of I'm gonna I am going to become the best entrepreneur that I can. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Good job, Sheila. Thank you for joining us. Proud of you.
Thank you.
We'll meet soon. I'm gonna drop your number for the guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Do you want me to drop it right now?
Oh yeah, perfect. You can drop it on chat.
Then I was gonna just shout out this. If anyone enjoys physical challenges, I am doing the 75 hard. So if anyone wants to join me and do a little accountability group chat, let me know. I have a good amount of people on it from the Sacramento side of things, San Diego side of things. So if you want to join, let's do it. It's 75 hards of a mental toughness challenge. So let me know.
Rodney just texted me saying that he wants to jump in. Okay. All right. So thank you, Sheila. Appreciate your time.
Have a blessed
Thank
day.
you, Sheila.
Bye-bye.